What's up guys, it's Robin here, and this video I'm going to be talking about my set 5.5 comps list, comps guide. I'm basically going to be going over each comp, how to play the comp, how to kind of navigate to the comp, the units that you play with the comp, who your carry is, what kind of items you want for the carry, and stuff like that. I'm going to be talking about the standard 4-cost carry comps, which is playing around Lucian, Jax Knights, Forgotten Draven, APHELIOS, and VELKOZ. And then there's a couple of comps that carry around 3-cost units, which are kind of like reroll comps, but not really, which is Nightbringer, Yasuo, Nocturne, Sins, and MF Cavs. These are the 8 comps I'm going to be talking about. I know there are some more niche comps, like the Soraka reroll comp, or, you know, like a Fiddle 6 carry comp or something. And I know more comps are going to be coming out in the future, but I haven't played those comps a lot, so I don't have that much experience playing those comps. And these are the main comps that I've been climbing right now, and I'm pretty sure that these comps will not change, will remain strong throughout the whole set, because even if some units are nerfed or buffed, I don't think these comps will fall out of meta or anything. So first of all, I'm gonna be talking about the Lucian comp. So Lucian, basically for this comp, you're just going to be playing around Lucian. Okay, with Lucian, you want to pair Lucian. You absolutely want to pair Lucian with the Cannoneer. Usually, it's going to be Senna because Senna is also a Sentinel. And then, honestly, from here, the rest of the units that you play on this board can be anything. Okay, you just need to establish like a good front line. You play Ironclad if there's a lot of AD in the lobby. You play Mystic if there's a lot of AP in the lobby and stuff like that. But you know that is really flex. But for me, basically, there's 2 variations that I like to play Lucian with. The first variation is going to be 6 Sentinels Lucian. So what that looks like is it's going to be Lucian plus Senna. It's going to be Galio as your main frontline. Aurelia, Pyke. Let's go to Sentinel. So late game, of course, you want the Akshan. This is already 6 Sentinel. These are the 6 Sentinels I like to play. When you don't have Akshan, you can play Rakan for Akshan. It's not a big deal. You know, you can play the Olaf 2 for Pyke. It's not a big deal. But I think the core units are going to be like Aurelia, Galio, Lucian, Senna. But, you know, these can be replaced with whatever. But I like Pyke and Akshan probably the best. So this is your 6 units on the board. You usually pivot into this at level 7, if anything. And your last unit here can be anything. Usually you will get at level 7 you just play Nautilus for the Knight, and then level 8 you play Aurel for Ironclad. If you don't have, if the lobby is AP heavy, you can drop these 2 for 2 Mystics. You can even play like you know, Fiddlesticks plus Volibear, but you can play whatever. So basically 6 Sentinels is going to be 6 Sentinels plus 2 extra units. Usually the cheapest is going to be Ironclad, and usually like 80% of the games you are going to be playing Ironclad, because right now the meta is really AD heavy. So most of the time you're going to be playing Nautilus, Jax, or Rel as your extra unit. Tank items is going to be on Galio, and then you just stack the rest of your damage items, you just put it on Lucian. For Lucian, good items are going to be any AD item on him. So Deathblade, IE, Last Whisper, Hodge are all very good. Right now, Guinsoo's, at the time of this video, Guinsoo's does not stack with Lucian's cannon blaster things. So right now, Guinsoo's is not good, but that should be changed in the future. Runons is not so good on Lucian because he's more of a, think of him as like an AD VELKOZ. So he's not like an auto attacker, but he's like a caster. So that's why Runons isn't that good on Lucian. For Lucian, Radiant items, it's the same thing. Any Radiant item any like AD Radiant item is good. The thing about Lucian is that Lucian's ult is both AP and AD. So he can actually also use AP items such as Jeweled Gauntlet or Rabadons. As far as Radiant items, Lucian is very flexible for your Radiant items. You can have any AD items such as Radiant Deathblade, Radiant Giant Slayer, Radiant BT, Radiant Last Whisper, Radiant IE, stuff like that. You can also have Radiant AP items such as Radiant JG, Radiant Rabadons. If you don't get any of those, you'll probably end up getting a utility Radiant item such as Radiant Trapclaw or Radiant Shroud. And if you have none of those, you can get a tank Radiant item such as Radiant Redemption, Radiant TG, Radiant, you know, Bramble, Radiant Sunfire on Galio or something. So this is one variation of the Lucian comp. Let me go ahead and put in the Rel and the Nautilus. So this is the 6 Sentinel variation of Lucian. It is the weaker variation of Lucian, definitely, but if you are kind of poor or you can't really pivot out of If you're kind of poor or playing from behind, you usually are just going to be playing 6 Sentinel Lucian version. If in the case that you're really rich and you're really in far of everyone and you can go level 9 with a lot of gold, you can drop 6 Sentinels into 3 and then play better units. So what I like to do is the 3 Sentinel units that I like to play around is going to be Senna, Lucian, and Galio. So then you can drop Pyke and Rakan, and then and sometimes even Akshan. And in the champions you want to be playing to cap out your board is definitely going to be Volibear, paired up with Fiddlesticks for your Revenant. And then you also want the Gwen, something like this. And then you can also fit one more, you can fit like a, if you need Mystic, you can fit a Mystic unit to pair with Fiddlesticks. More Mystic. If you want more Ironclad, you play Jax. If you want more Mystic, you play another Mystic. But this is gonna be this is probably gonna be like the most capped out board you can make. You know, sometimes you can add in, if you don't need a more Mystic or more Ironclad, you can add in an Akshan, you know, you can add in like Heimer, Garen, whatever. But basically you're going to be playing around Lucian, Senna, and Galio, and then just flexing the rest of your units. This is like the high roll version, but I would say like 70% of my games I'm just playing 6 Sentinel Lucian, playing for top 4. The next comp I want to be talking about is the Jax Knight comp. Basically it's 4 Knight Jax, aka Fortnite Jax. What you're going to be playing around is going to be 4 Knights plus Jax with a healing item. So basically Jax with 4 Knights, it'll be very hard to kill him, especially because he has infinite sustain, and that's how the whole comp works. So your core late game is going to be Galio, Jax, Aurelia, Olaf plus 3 other knights, and then Rel at 8. So I'll show you that on the I'll show you that on the builder. It's going to be Jax. You want Nautilus, Leona, Thresh, Galio, and then to round this out, you want to play Skirm slash Sentinels. So you want to be playing the Olaf plus Aurelia for 3 Skirm and 3 Sentinel. And then this is going to be your level 7. And then at level 8, you just play a Rel for Ironclad. So this is the comp. It's a relatively cheap comp, but it's also pretty strong. So if you're ever like playing from behind and you have to roll at 7, you can definitely look to play this comp if you hit like if you have a lot of good Jax items, or if you hit like a couple of Jaxes on your level 7 roll down. Itemization, you want to put for Jax, you absolutely need a healing item, whether that is BT or Hodge. That is the one core item that you really need. The next 2 items are pretty flexible. You do want the Last Whisper in this meta because everyone's playing Ironclad, but even without Last Whisper, Jax is still somewhat playable. Other items you like is going to be Hodge, Runons, IE, Giant Slayer, Deathblade, RFC. They all work. So basically any attack speed or AD item. Guinsoo's is not that good on Jax because he already scales attack speed infinitely, so Guinsoo's loses value. He gets capped out pretty fast. So Guinsoo's is not that good, but it's still playable. This is 3 sample items on Jax, and then you want most of your tank items either on Aurelia or Galio. So something like this. As far as Radiant items go, same thing as Jax's like items. Any AD attack speed or any AD or attack speed item Radiant item can work on Jax, whether it's Radiant Hodge, Radiant Last Whisper, Radiant BT, Radiant IE, Radiant Final Whisper, Radiant RFC is good, Radiant Runons, stuff like that. You know, any other utility Radiant works as well. Trap Claw, Shroud, and then Radiant tank items is probably the third, your last choice, which will be put on Galio or Aurelia. To cap out this board, you can sub out Leona for Garen late game if you can get a Garen too, and then also if you hit Viego, you sell the Olaf for Viego, and then at level 9 you can play another unit. I like to play Diana to pair with Viego, and also Diana is very strong right now, I think, in the meta. So you can play Diana. If you don't have Last Whisper, you can sub out Diana for Akshan, and honestly, this last spot is pretty flexible. If the lobby is AP heavy, you can take out Rel and Diana for like 2 Mystic or something. You can even take out like Nautilus and Thresh, take out 2 Knights and play more Mystic. It's up to you. But I've tried this comp without 4 Knights. Like I've hit better units to play other than like that Leona and that Thresh. I've hit like Fiddle 2 and like Volibear, and it doesn't even feel stronger because the whole point of this comp is to get 4 Knights for Jax with a healing item. So then Jax can like, it's really hard to kill Jax. But once you take out 4 Knights into 2 Knights, he doesn't block damage anymore, and he just like ends up dying a lot. So I think 4 Knight is core. Another Radiant item that I missed out for Jax, Radiant QSS is really strong on Jax. So Radiant QSS also works. The next comp we have is Forgotten Draven. So this comp, you're going to be playing around Draven carry. The core is going to be Hecarim, Thresh, Draven, and MF. That's going to be your 4 Forgotten. And then you're going to be dropping MF for Viego late game. And in the rest of the units, you're going to be playing Ironclad, Mystic, whatever, depending on the lobby. Okay, for this Draven comp, the core is going to be Hecarim, Thresh, Misfortune, Draven. This is your core units, okay? So it's going to be 4 Forgotten, and the rest of the units are going to be Ironclad, Mystic, depending on the lobby. But most of the time, it's going to look like this. I like to play Aurelia for the Legionnaire, and I like to play Nautilus and Rel and Jax for 3 Ironclad. And then late game, when you get Viego, you'd sell the MF for Viego, and then you also get the 3 Skirm with Jax and Aurelia. This is like a sample level 8 board. But if there's a ton of Mystic in the lobby, you just drop Rel and drop Nautilus and drop Jax. Actually, you have to play Rel. You have to play Rel to buff the Hecarim. So Rel is core. You can drop the Aurelia and you can just play Mystic. You can play like the Lulu, Lux, Gwen, Fiddle, whatever for Mystic. But usually the lobby is going to be AD heavy. So most games you're going to be playing the Jax, you're going to be playing the Nautilus, and you're going to be playing, you know, you don't, I mean, Aurelia is pretty droppable, but Aurelia is just a good all-around unit. Items, pretty similar to set 5, but Draven wants, ideally he wants a healing item, whether it be Hodge or BT. And then you want Last Whisper for sure, because Draven without Last Whisper is a Keck. And the last item is pretty flexible, you know, RFC, IE, they're all good, but I think IE is probably best in slot. But you know, stuff like Runon's works as well. Guinsoo's is okay, not really that good. Deathblade is whatever, because you already get a lot of AD from Forgotten. But this is like a sample BIS. And then you want tank items on Hecarim. So tank items on Hecarim is super important in this comp. Tank items on Hecarim is more important than Draven items in this comp. So you want to itemize for Draven, but you also want to make sure you're itemizing for Hecarim as well. So Hecarim absolutely wants the Warmogs is extremely good on him. And then other items you want is probably like Bramble, Warmogs, and like, you know, Declaw or something like that. So as far as radiant items, any AD radiant item will work on Draven, such as Radiant BT, Radiant Last Whisper, Radiant IE, Radiant Hodge, Radiant Runons. Radiant Guinsoo's is not that good. Radiant Deathblade is also not that good, but you know, it still works. Radiant RFC is pretty good. Radiant QSS is good on Draven. So traditional like AD carry Radiants. I think tank item Radiants are also very good on Hecarim, such as Radiant Warmogs, Radiant Bramble, Radiant Declaw, Radiant Titans. Is also very good on Hecarim, and sometimes it's even more important to get a tank item on Hecarim than it is on Draven. And then that's basically what you're itemizing for. 80 items on Draven, the rest on Hecarim. If you do end up getting a tome or get any in the armor, you end up getting a Forgotten Spat. You can drop 1 unit to play 6 Forgotten, and it's extremely strong. You just like one-shot everyone. If you do get the Forgotten Spat, you can play MF here, and then you can drop you can drop Aurelia for MF or something, and then you have 6 Forgotten, which is like extremely strong. The next comp I'm gonna be talking about is Aphelios. So how to play around Aphelios. So basically the core for Aphelios, it's also very flexible, such as Lucian, but it's going to be Aphelios plus any ranger, preferably Akshan late game. And then I like to play around the Nightbringer. I like to play with Aphelios is going to be Sejuani, because Sejuani is like one of the best tanks in the game. And then you just fill the rest of the units with Ironclad or Mystic depending on the lobby. Sometimes you can play 4 Rangers if you don't have Guinsoo's. Even if you have Guinsoo's, like sometimes it's worth to play Rangers, because 4 Rangers is actually really good. But it just depends on what you hit, honestly. Aphelios, you want to pair Aphelios with a Ranger. It's going to be Ashe the majority of the game until you get Akshan. And then you want to play Sejuani as your frontline. And then the rest of the units are really flexible. What I like to play is going to be Rel to buff the Sejuani, of course. And if you're playing Rel, you probably just want to play the Nautilus for Ironclad. The rest of the units, you know, if you end up having like a Varus to Akshan, you have like more 80 items than the 3 on Aphelios. You know, you can play 4 Rangers with Varus and Akshan, and then you have the 4 Ranger. You can also drop 2 Rangers and just play even more Ironclad if the lobby with Jax, if the lobby is like AD heavy. If it's like Mystic heavy, you can play the Fiddlesticks, you can play the Gwen, Lux, Lulu, etc. Most games, I just find myself playing Ironclad, which is going to be like something like this. You can also play 4 Nightbringers if you end up having like a Lee Sin 2 plus a Diana 2. If you hit Lee Sin 2 Diana 2, you're just gonna be playing a 4 Nightbringer. You know, if you roll down and end up hitting like a Galio 2, you can play Galio 2 for the Knight and also a really strong frontline. You know, if you have Hecarim, you can play Hecarim with Sejuani as more frontline with four Rangers. So it's just like super flexible. A very common. So if you have to roll for Aphelios at 7, you can probably just roll for like 4 Rangers, honestly, which will be Vayne, Ashe, Varus. It's gonna be 4 Rangers plus like 3 Cav frontline, something like this. This is like a popular like level 7 board. Maybe you can drop the Hecarim for like Nautilus to get like the early Ironclad. So this is like a nice little board that I like to roll for if I have to roll for Aphelios at level 7. So you can also play 4 Nightbringer, which is also very common. Drop the Varus, play Ashe and Aphelios only, and then play the Lee Sin plus Diana. So this comp is just like the Lucian comp. It's it's extremely flexible. Whereas Lucian just needs a Cannoneer, Aphelios just needs a Ranger, and then it just and then you go from there. The Lucian frontline you want to have is going to be Aurelia and Galio because it opens up Sentinel, and then whereas in this comp you want to play Sejuani to open up the Nightbringer. The absolutely capped comp you want for this comp, I like to play Aphelios and then Akshan, and then you're going to play, you know, all the OP Revenant stuff: Fiddlesticks, Gwen, Volibear, Gwen as your frontline, and then you can play like the last unit will probably be Jax for Ironclad, and if there's no Ironclad, you can drop Nautilus and Jax for a Mystic. Itemization. Set 5.5 is a little bit different from set 5 Aphelios, whereas he doesn't do that much damage from his auto attacks, but he does most of his damage from his ability. Items such as Runons isn't that good on him, but it's still like pretty decent. But basically itemization, you want to put 80 items on him, such as 80 attack speed items on him, such as Deathblade, you know, it's always good, IE, Last Whisper, BT, Guinsoo's, stuff like that. I think BIS though is going to be Deathblade, Guinsoo's, Last Whisper probably. You can replace the Guinsoo's with IE. There's a debate going on right now whether IE or Deathblade's better, but I think they're like, you know, pretty similar. Radiant items, same thing. Radiant DB, Radiant BT, Radiant Guinsoo's, Radiant Final Whisper, Runons, Hodge, whatever is good on Aphelios. Utility Radiant items are also very good. Trap Claw, Shroud, whatever. And then tank items you probably want to put on Sejuani, which is also very good. Radiant Bramble, Radiant Redemption, Radiant Warmogs, very good on Sejuani early mid game and into late game. If you do not have Last Whisper, you can always play for Akshan late game, and Akshan will be your Last Whisper, much like Darius from last set. The last comp I'm going to be talking about is going to be the VELKOZ comp. You're going to be playing 6 redeemed VELKOZ. This comp is the exact same as last set, so I'll just kind of go through it really quick. So for this comp, it's going to be 6 redeemed. So Leona, Lux, VELKOZ, Syndra for sure, Varus, and then you want to play to round out the board. You want to play Nautilus for Ironclad Knight, and you want to play the Ivern for Invoker. Usually it's going to be something like this. AP items on VELKOZ, same thing. Shojin, Rabadon's JG. Radiant items, Radiant Shojin, Radiant Hodge, Radiant JG, Radiant Rabadons. You know, AP mana items are really good on VELKOZ. Radiant tank items on Leona or Rel or Ivern, whatever. And then Radiant Utility is also very good. Same comp as last set. It is a little bit weaker, but it's still definitely playable. If you have a Redeemed Opener, you can play Redeemed Opener into VELKOZ perfectly fine and get a top 4. It's probably very hard to win the lobby, but if you sweat scout on the correct side every time, you can probably top 4 for sure. Next, I'm gonna be talking about comps that revolve around a 3-cost carry. Usually, you're going to be like staying level 7 or level 6 to reroll and to 3-star your 3-cost carry usually. The first one is going to be Nightbringer Yasuo. So Nightbringer Yasuo, how I like to play is I like to play 4 Nightbringers. It's going to be Sedge, Diana, Lee Sin, Yasuo. And it's going to be plus Ironclad Mystic depending on the lobby. So for Yasuo, it's going to be Diana, Lee Sin, Sedge, Yasuo. These are going to be your core units. Lee Sin, Sejuani will be your frontline. Yasuo will be your carry. And then Diana will be your secondary carry. And then the other units I like to play is going to be Aurelia to get the Legionnaire. And it's also an all-around good unit with Skirmisher. And then you play the Rel to activate your Sedge. And then at this point, you can just play a Nautilus and a Jax for Ironclad. And then if you play Jax, you get the 3 skirm with LUCIAN, Aurelia, and Jax. So for this comp, you're going to be like, you're going to be staying level 7 the majority of the game. This is probably what your board is going to look like at level 7. And then you're just going to be slow rolling at level 7 until you get YASUO 3, and you can push levels. If you're contested, you can definitely just like stop, don't slow roll at 7 and just go 8 and play for top 4. Itemization, same thing as last set. YASUO wants attack speed or AP items. So items such as RFC, Runons, and then an AP item is probably the best. And then you want to put your tank items on Sejuani. So stuff like Warmogs, Bramble, Declaw, Redemption, stuff like that. It's pretty similar to the comp. It's pretty similar to the YASUO comp from set 5, except that you're missing you're not playing 4 Dragon Slayer anymore because you can't. There's no Pantheon, there's no Trundle, there's no Mordekaiser, and instead you're just playing Ironclad Mystics around it, depending on the lobby. A big reason why YASUO is strong right now is because of the new Hodge. So Hodge now gives you both healing and more damage. So then you'll always guarantee healing on YASUO if you summon Hodge, which is really, really good. The next comp is going to be Nocturne Sins. This is the Assassin comp. Your core is going to be 4 Sins, Diana, Nocturne, Pyke, and Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix until you get Viego. And then you just fill your board with Revenants. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So here's the board. So the Nocturne Sins comp, Diana, Nocturne, Kha'Zix, Pyke, 4 Sins. And then you just fill it with Revenants. Fiddlesticks, Ivern, Volibear. And then Gwen, something like this. Pretty simple. Itemization, attack speed 80 items on Nocturne. So, you know, DB, Runons, Gwinsus, whatever. Last Whisper is also very good. And then you want your tank items. If you ever get AP items, you put it on Fiddlesticks. And in tank items, you can just put it on Ivern. Pretty similar comp to last patch, except now you don't have Pyke replaces LeBlanc, and there's no more Katarina. When you get Viego, you're going to be replacing Kha'Zix with Viego, and then if you do end up getting a Sin Spat, you're always going to be Sin Spatting Fiddlesticks because Fiddlesticks Sin is super broken. It does a lot of damage, and you can just play Kha'Zix for 6 Sins. You can probably take out Gwyn for Kha'Zix for 6 Sins. And then that's pretty much it. AD and attack speed Radiant items are probably the best on Nocturne. If you don't end up getting any of those, any Radiant utility is probably good, like Radiant Shroud, Radiant Trap Claw, and you know Radiant Frozen Heart is also very, very good in this comp on Diana. And then if you get none of those, you could get a Radiant tank item on Ivern, but it's not that good. You can also look to stack Fiddlesticks. If you get a ton of AP items, instead of like carrying Nocturne, you can actually carry Fiddlesticks, where you just put all the AP items on Fiddlesticks, and he can actually carry you to a top 4. Next comp is going to be the MF Cavs comp. You probably already heard of this comp, but basically this comp plays around Cavaliers and MF, and it's a reroll comp. Your core is going to be Hecarim, Sejuani, Thresh, Nautilus, MF, and Vayne. And then you drop Vayne for Draven too, late game, and then if you have Viego, you drop Draven for Viego. It's going to be 4 Forgotten plus Cavs. So this comp, MF, Vayne, Thresh, Hecarim, Thresh. That's gonna be your 4 Forgotten, and then Sedge and Nautilus. So this is going to be your level 6 board, and then you're just gonna be staying level 6 and slow rolling for Hecarim 3, Sedge 3, Nautilus 3, Thresh 3, whatever. Once you get 3-star, you can move on for MF 3. Itemization, you want to you need Shojin on MF. So I think the only core item is probably Shojin on MF, and then you want to put AP items on MF. So stuff like JG, Rabadons is good. Archangels is also very good. And then, but more importantly, after Shojin, you want to itemize Hecarim. So Hecarim BIS is probably like Warmogs is probably core, and then the other items depends on the lobby, but it just depends on what items you end up getting. So like a lot of times you're gonna be slamming Bramble and Declaw or something like that. Once you 3-star your Hecarim, you can move on for try to get MF3 at level 7. And then at level 7, you can add in a Jax for more Ironclad. You can also add in a Lucian. No item Lucian actually does a ton of damage. And yeah, if you're contested for this comp, you can just push levels. You can play around Hecarim 2, Sedge 2, and MF 2. You can push levels and just play Lucian. And it's still a really, really strong like regular like comp. And you can pivot out into Heimer late game at level 8 if you end up getting Heimers and like Revenants and stuff. As far as Radiant items, I think I do think Radiant Hecarim items are a little bit better than Radiant MF items, but Radiant MF items are still very good. So Radiant Hecarim items are Radiant Warmogs, Radiant Bramble, Radiant Declaw, Radiant Titans, Radiant Redemption. They all work. For MF, Radiant Shojin, Radiant JG, Radiant Rabadons, Radiant Hodge are all very good. The last comp I'm going to be talking about is going to be the ABOM Draconic comp. This is I put this under 3 cost carry comps because most of the time you're playing around Zyra 3, but a lot of times you're ditching Zyra for Heimer. So you know, it's kind of different, but basically this is very similar to the same comp as last set. 3 Draconic, 3 ABOM, and then you pivot into Invokers late game. This comp level 6, it's going to be Brand, Kalista, Nunu, Set, Zyra, Ashe, and Zyra. So this is going to be your level 6 board. You're basically going to like look at 3-2 level 6. You're going to want to roll down for this board. And in items, you want Shojin on Zyra, and then any AP items. So probably JG like Archangels or something like that. And then for ABOM, last set you wanted to slam AD items, Runon's Last Whisper on ABOM, but then now they changed ABOM where he's more of a tank than a carry. So then now you're just gonna be stacking tank items on ABOM. So items such as like, you know, Warmogs on the Nunu is very good. Warmogs on the Nunu is very good. Sunfire Cape is also very good. And then, you know, you can just put Sunfire Cape like Brand or something, and then the last item you can put like Bramble or something on Kalista. But most games, what you're gonna do is you're going to get a Radiant tank item on ABOM. So you're probably gonna get a Radiant, like getting like a Radiant Bramble, Radiant Warmogs, Radiant Sunfire, Radiant Titans, Radiant Spark is very good on in this comp. If you don't end up getting a Radiant tank item, you can always get a Radiant AP or mana item on Zyra, and then or you can always get a Radiant utility item such as Trap Claw or Shroud. They're all very good. So this is your level 6 board. Your level 7, you're just going to be putting in Fiddlesticks for the 4 ABOM. And then at level 8, you're going to be playing a Revenant, whether it be Ivern or Volibear. Once you get Zyra 3, you can drop your Draconic because you no longer need Draconic. Once you get Zyra 3 and you're like level 9, you don't need Draconic anymore. So you want to be dropping the Set and the Ashe, and you want to be playing more Revenants and probably like Invokers. So Volibear here, and then probably like Heimer, Teemo or something. Just playing all the OP units. But your core is going to be Zyra, Nunu, Brand, Kalista, and Fiddle. And then the rest of the slots are pretty flexible. So that's it for my comps guide for set 5.5. These are the main comps I've been playing. I know there are other comps that I missed, but these are just the comps that I've been playing myself, and I feel like these comps will always, like almost always, stay in the meta throughout set 5.5. If I'm missing any comps, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.